What have we named the show? Hey, we've named the show. Congratulations and welcome to joining us for our last episode of the year on Uplift. Hey, we are so pleased to see you and we look forward to seeing you after this quick video. Hello, g'day, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are joining us, whether you're watching us live or in replay, know that we appreciate you joining on this, our last episode of Uplift for the year. My name is Sarah Wade. I'm coming to you from Perth in Western Australia, and as always, my amazing co-host joining us from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Mr. Neil Thrussell.
It's fun and great to be with you, Sarah, on our last show for 2023. And what I love about our combined synergy is, as we were talking, the button goes live and we're just like, it's life. Let's just go with it. It makes it our heart open. We're willing and able to just roll with the punches when life gives us lemons.
Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, I think we've talked about a little bit of that throughout our journey this year with various people on the show. And in a nutshell, we're going to be reviewing some of the calls that we've had this year. And if you've got any questions or if you've got any comments or you'd love to give us some love, you know how to use that comments button and we'll be sure to get back to you. Hey, Neil, I don't know about you, but this year's gone really fast. I don't know if it's because we're getting older or Christmas, I'm sure it used to take like 3 years before Santa would come. These days it seems to be getting quicker and quicker. How's the year been for you?
Phenomenally fast. I just had a year ago about this time, I was ending my 9-to-5 job, and I just had a luncheon with my previous work crew, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been a year, and I'm like, how can that? I haven't aged. How is that possible? It's like, but then thinking of your little one Maya, it's like that lasts forever. That year at her age, it's like Santa's never gonna get here, and we're going, and I'm going, oh my God, it's Christmas already. I'm not ready.
Slow down. Yeah, time is relative, isn't it? And yeah, I'd love to hear anyone who's watching us live or in replay. What do you feel about time? Like, how has this year been for you too? And surely time doesn't stand still, but yet some of us, we can get stuck in the past or get stuck in the future. What about now? Are you enjoying now, today? Like for me right now, today, it's the complete opposite temperature. It's the same day. Opposite temperature and time to Neil. In fact, we're on opposite days, come to think of it. It's Monday night for him, Tuesday day for me, summer for me, winter for you. And I absolutely love that this cross-continental synergy that we have has brought us to see so many people this year and who come to join us on Uplift. It's been a beautiful experience.
And yeah, so this means, I don't remember. So this means in January, I think this will be our 3rd year together.
Yeah.
And I'm going, how is that possible? And then it's like, how did two of us manage to lure such great people into our lives and willing to give an hour of their quality time up for us? Like last year, we started with Sam Mills, and she talked about confidence in the inner critic, and it was like, it was wonderful because she was if I remember right, she was a victim of childhood abuse, and to see her now and to experience Sam now, it's phenomenal. And I feel for anyone that has gone through the trauma of that, but she's blossomed into this beautiful, heart-centered woman.
Absolutely, yeah. Sam's story was heartfelt, and if you've gone through something like that, I highly recommend that you have a look at Sam's page. You know, she's got a beautiful sense of self about her, and a whole lot of inner calm, which I think a lot of people will find really appealing. So yeah, go check out Sam Mills, and know that we appreciate you for joining us. Yeah. Oh, we've had so many people. Yeah, I think one of the ones that stood out to me that was recent was our relationship counselor, Mr. What was his surname? Rick Martin. Rick Martin. Yeah, so the name just suddenly escaped me. Yeah, when Rick joined us, he asked me a question, and on the spot, and you know, I was able to identify all things that I wanted in a relationship. Turns out I want a female, which, you know, okay. Yeah. And it's, isn't it, like, you know, we talk about like what we could bring into a relationship as a male or a female, or you know, how we contribute to the house in many ways. I know that when we go into relationship, whether it be as a new job, whether it be as a new partner, or any other relationship, you know, friends included, we sort of try to figure out where we align with them. Like, you know, are we actually going to be a good fit, or is it time to go? Oh, it's time to leave this one now. To see how we can come together and build relationships. So yeah, on that note, I'm curious about your relationships this year, guys. Like, how have you found them? Are you still in one? Have you left? Are you absolutely loving the relationships that you're in? Please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. I know that Mr. Neil Thrussell and his beautiful wife have been in a pretty short-term relationship, a few decades.
38 years is short compared to some people. 38 years is huge compared to some people. And
yeah, I mean, it's the best part of most of my life, to be honest. And you guys have been together for all but a small snippet of it. And I absolutely love that. And you guys have got a beautiful relationship. What's your secret?
Well, one, never go to bed mad. Never go. Like, talk it through. And even when you're in the midst of, I think it was Rick that talked about, we need to, as a couple, you need to learn to disagree or argue fairly, so that it's not a power struggle, so that you're still listening to each other. You may be totally on the opposite ends of the scale of what you believe in. One could believe in COVID, and one could absolutely not believe in COVID. And I'm taking something that's easily to be on the opposite ends, but it's how you go through that relationship and work towards it.
And I don't know about you, but one thing I've noticed is that often isn't a surface level problem that we're talking about. So, you know, spending time trying to figure out that problem solve what's actually being spoken about isn't always our time best spent. So, that's been an interesting curveball.
Yeah. And one of the things is Sarah and I both are heart-based coaches, heart-based people, but some of our lessons we both are learning is to how to be heart-based in adversity, because you still need to be a true heart-open person. The universe, God, whatever you believe in or don't believe in, will test you. So when you make the declaration, I'm a heart-based something, well, the universe is going to provide you ample opportunities. And one of the things that I would say is just breathe. Whenever you're faced with adversity, just breathe. Well, the Facebook user that just came up and that said, "Love it, Neil," must be on one of our groups and hasn't given permission for their names to be used. That's what it is. So if you want to go into your Facebook and under the permissions, just allow the Facebook group to use your name.
I appreciate that. Oh yeah, and I think on that heart-centered note, business can be so many different ways, you know. I don't know about you, but when I was young, I went to a car yard and I experienced salespeople who were a bit slimy, shall we say. And I understood where that phrase coming from about them. It was interesting too, because last year I bought a new car and didn't have that experience. Also interesting, after having finished a couple of NLP courses the last few years, how we act in sales calls or how we act in live sales was interesting. As a customer, I knew I was there to buy a car after visiting like another 40 already. And it was interesting for me, like how the salesperson spoke to me about sales. And I loved that he was actually heart-centered, and that's why I bought from him. And I imagine that you've had that experience too, Neil. People buy from you, whether it be your books or your other things that you have on offer, because you're such a beautiful, heart-centered man.
Well, thank you. But also we had a beautiful business for Deirdre was on, and it was, I think her talk was like something, forget professionalism, create a fun, sustainable business. And she was so much fun to talk about the making and how important it is to make your work site important. And that dealership that you went and bought from, or the dealer that you bought from, somewhere in the philosophy of the company or him or that particular salesman believed in a heart-based approach.
Yeah, it was interesting too. If you think about the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, you know, that famous "Sell Me the Pen," you know, quite a few people would talk about, you know, oh, this pen, you know, it's got 4 colors on it, it's got this and that. Not so many people will ask you why you would need to buy the pen, what you want to do with it, and all that sort of thing. And personally, for me, the last few years, learning about more asking the person you're talking to about why they want to use it is way more beneficial, not only for you, but of course for them in terms of sales. And I love that we've had so many people on this year who've spoken about sales from these beautiful, heart-based perspectives. So thank you to everyone who's joined us. Who's been a standout for you now?
Oh, all 20 some of them. It has brought so much wisdom to I'll go backwards. I loved Lee Smith. No excuses, only excellent. She was talking about speaking, like it was just like I knew she was a beautiful person, but when she was on our show, it was, hey, beautiful cup you have there.
Cheers, thank you.
But Lee Smith was phenomenal. Then we had Linda Alexandra on passionate potential, and then we had what was her name, Dara, on stage presence. That was fun. She's quiet, you know. She's talking about stage presence, but she projected professionalism, but she also allowed her shyness and her uniqueness to come through.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, confidence doesn't have to be all sort of cocky and in your face, just like Sam Mills. And she has this quiet confidence, and I love that about Dara. And she's still touring. She's still doing shows at the moment. You can catch her live in a variety of places. One of the things I liked about Dara was just how easy it is to have a conversation with her. You know, some people are unapproachable, but she's there. She wants to help so many musicians to thrive, and it's a beautiful thing to see. So, I remember Samantha Campbell coming on and talking about nutrition. And while she wasn't here necessarily to talk about nutrition, you know, it was something that I've seen in her over the last few years since we've known each other. And something that just naturally came up in our conversation, and the wisdom that she's got to share. And, you know, it's not only from a book's perspective, but from her personal perspective, and of course from the countless people that she's helping. I love that she does things like, you know, if you're craving this, then don't eat that because your body is actually craving this. You know, it's little nuances that we think we know, So maybe if we just take that step back and look at it from a meta perspective and go, oh, actually, yeah, maybe it was this thing that I needed. It's just, oh, it was a beautiful metaphor for life. I thought, yeah, I just love that.
And yes, she gave us a beautiful, if you go back to the episode, she gave us a beautiful celery recipe. I usually have a green smoothie in the morning. And so we talked about smoothie. And what I loved about uh, Samantha Campbell was that she was living what she was telling. Like she was eating her recipes and sharing her recipe and sharing that her family was on board as well. And I don't remember whether she has 2 daughters or 3 daughters, but her children are young adults are quite physically active and they're swimming in that, and she's got them eating really healthy.
Yeah, they're doing really well in state swimming and things like that. And phenomenal little athletes. So, yeah, what a family to be a part of. I love that personal development has been so much ingrained in Sam that her and her daughters go interstate and actually, into overseas to go and spend times with people like Tony Robbins, who Sam enjoyed and wanted to share with her family. I think going that extra mile and sharing personal development with our small humans or with our friends and people of influence at a young age is a beautiful thing. I wish that we had a bit of personal development in schools. I don't imagine that you had much personal development back in 1706.
No, I noticed you had a big pen that had multicolors. Only the rich kids, when I was in school, when I was in like grade school, had those pens, and now it's commonplace. Yeah, that was a coveted writing instrument you had there.
Oh, well, I do feel fancy.
Yep. And then somewhere early on in the year, we had one of my friends, Drew Kenworthy, who's following his passion as a videographer and a film director, and he created a film, Living the Warrior Code, with my running coach. And yeah, I'm biased because I really love the movie, but Drew did an incredible job on it, and it's big screen worthy. And it was because he was following his passion. At a young age, he was always making videos and acting and doing things. So that was, to me, it was wonderful.
Yeah, I love that. He was following his passion. He sort of had some financial deviations in there, but still, that was his hobby. He still did what he wanted to. So outside of him providing for his family, he found ways of making it happen, and then still he found ways of making it happen for him financially. So I don't know about you, but I felt inspired by that episode, and I felt inspired hearing a lot from both him and Scott, actually. I've been through a few hiccups with my health, and Scott certainly has. And wow, what an inspirational person he is and was when he was on our show last year too.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah. So Drew was last year, and Scott was the year before. I think, 2 years ago. It's been crazy. If you have a story that you think is worthy of being on our show, DM us, give us a little pitch, and we'd love to know what it is that you have to offer. Because there are, it needs to be heart-based. It needs to be educational. It doesn't need to be uplifting. Sometimes the saddest stories are what we learn from the most from. But you need to be an articulate speaker and to have a story. And maybe we can share. You can share it on our program.
Absolutely. We'd love to hear from you. And look, if speaking something you want to get into, whether that be eventually TEDx or having your own stages, come and joining people like Neil and I on our beautiful little podcast and creating something that gives you that inner confidence that takes that next step. we would be so happy to be a part of. I appreciate that. I know that when Haran Singh came on this year, and he came back as a returning guest because he absolutely loved joining the show and had the opportunity to share, and his story wasn't an easy one. He certainly wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. So yeah, no, don't feel like you need to have a story where I was the best and always was the best and now I'm still the best. That need not be you. We appreciate true stories and true humans coming on the show and bearing their soul with us. I think I can't think of any guest this year, or actually really in the past, who hasn't done that, who hasn't been themselves. It's been a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I personally, if you've never had adversity and you're still succeeding, power to you. But somehow the underdog in me is drawn to those that have overcome, the underdog. They've been underrated. They've had to overcome adversity. Those, I'm really drawn to those stories. Because it speaks to my heart, because at some level I think I've been the underdog, and life at times has put it under my thumb. But yeah, if you've never experienced being the underdog in that and you have a story, we'd still love to hear from it.
Absolutely. I think one of the underdog stories that we had from this year, Mama Kay Skydancer joining us, and she's an advocate for disability and mental health rights and helps people with DV, domestic violence, excuse my coughing, and her ability to help people, and she's going to hate me to say this, but holding space for them to get out what they need to and really share their time and energy. And what I really, really appreciate about Mama Kay Skydancer is her ability to see the big picture. And you might go to see her for one reason, and then just like we were talking about before, Neil, that real reason has got something real underneath, and she's got this uncanny ability to get underneath and to truly help. So yeah, I appreciate her in so many ways, and I love that she brought her intuition to us. I think another person who brought her intuition well to the show was Michelle Louise Southern. She has a spark about her, doesn't she? Yeah.
Me personally, I think we need her back on the show so that she can do a reading for us.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I didn't communicate to her when we were communicating back and forth, that it would be a perfect time to bring whatever medium that she could use for her for her intuition and share it with it. Because we had the opportunity with Jim Seymour of the Astrology of You to get a little taste of, because I gave him gave him my birth dates, and he was able to share some astrology and with us. So yeah, but yeah, it would be great to have Michelle, because she was just like, she radiated love and joy.
Yeah, she does, absolutely. And on that, Jim actually sent me some information after the show, so he went above and beyond and just gave me some astrological readings of the stuff, and I was like, whoa, that was very kind and generous and also very right. So it was really cool to read and see it.
He's a prince of a man, and just what was it, 2 weeks ago we had another prince of the man who was giving gifts away like crazy. We had Q for our tech. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to have him on our show.
Yeah, Kwangyo came in and gave us a bunch of information about tech and whether you are tech-minded or not. Like, I am learning to love tech. I understood what we were talking about, and I smiled the whole way through. And it wasn't because it was going above my head. So if you're learning to love tech too, then might be the show too to go back and check in replay.
Absolutely. It was fun. I think I'm going to say, if I'm going to brag us up, it's because of our ability to find quality people. It means that this show is great, because we don't have a large or a hard or difficult screening process, but we really like to know who's coming on the show, and it's heart first, and then whatever else that they want. We want to know that they can talk. Like we talked with Q, who's a tech person, and we got him into about his family, and we got into what keeps him alive, or not keeps him alive, but springs forth from his heart what's really passionate about. And what was passion was about was his tech. And so it was wonderful.
I appreciated our chat with Sally Lean. Sally had a lot to share with us about communication, and she now works with teens. But Sally, having spent her time in Wagga Wagga, Australia, gone over to China, spent quite a few years in China, so much so that they're like, wow, shocked how well she could speak, and now doing absolute wonders for helping teens with their communication. I think, yeah, she has a certain something about her, and I appreciated Sally's knowledge that she shared with us.
Yeah, it's interesting because she's like a fish out of water. We had Sally is a Caucasian woman being the head of a Chinese lessons in China. So it's like, okay, so that that Sally is good at what she's doing. She is all in.
Absolutely. And I love that, we're not predisposed to a future. There are so many options and avenues, so many sliding doors that we can take that can help us or hinder us in one way or another. And even if we get hindered at one point, I don't know about you, Neil, but I notice there's lessons to learn and go, oh, actually, congratulations. I did know that I can now go this way. It's a lovely thing to realize. And, often with that, for me, comes a bit of gratitude. I don't know about you. Does gratitude sort of come into moments like that for you too now?
Absolutely. Sometimes it may start as a little reluctant, like, oh, great. But then it goes,
you need a sign that says bang head here.
And then it's like, oh. It's like when I'm writing, and if I use the analogy that I am writing the story of my life, and when I'm creating fiction, it's the same thing. If I don't like the chapter and where it's going, I can stop, rewind it to a place or a point where I'm more satisfied, or I really like that jumping off point, and re-envision a new chapter, a new way to do it. And when you have gratitude, it's easier to re-envision a new chapter of your life and move towards that. Because you don't like this particular way, move off and start anew. And for me, it's then being grateful from that place and move off and go and do it.
Yeah, and we're not talking about toxic positivity, guys. We're just talking about gratitude, and it's something that I found really a sticking point for years, because I thought, oh, you bastards, you're telling me lies, you're telling me to be thankful about shit. Excuse my French, but it's not about that, really, is it? Yeah, it's about a whole different thing. And when you're coming from that heart-based space that Neil and I come from, I'm sure you do too. I'm sure you'll understand.
It's like the painting behind you. If you wanted to add a different color to it, it's not that you've done the painting wrong. You just want to add a splash of color. I'm not saying you would, but you could choose to do that. And there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, this year, the last 2 years, I've been playing with resin a bit more. And with resin, you can only pour so much before the next layer. So it's been interesting looking at the layers of things, and again, it's been a great metaphor for life. I absolutely love these experiences. And whether you figure this out, whether through painting or writing or life in its many forms, know that we feel gratitude for you for joining us live and perhaps maybe sharing some of your experiences with us.
We'd love
to. Now,
I'm wondering. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, as a kid, I used to read a lot of choose your own adventure books, and I'm wondering, knowing that you're an author, you mentioned, just rewinding and going back to that space before you wanted to go forward. Do you think like the choose your own adventure books are a bit like life at all, or how would you describe a book like that?
Everything can be tied to life. When you choose your own adventure, the advantage is you get to see the outcome.
Yes.
So you read the book and you're seeing the outcome, and then you can choose from, well, I didn't like that outcome, or I want a different outcome. So when you have a choose your own adventure, you're not vested in it, and it's not personal. So for me, it's like you need to divest yourself to make of what's going on in your life right now and be able to make that choice. So you spent $10,000 on a stupid whatever. So you did something. So you're in a cast, whatever it is, the negative that's going on, you go, thank you. Want to make a different choice and move towards a different choice. And let go of the past. That's part of it, is you can't hold on to the baggage of your past and say, well, I should have done this 2 years ago. Okay, maybe you should have, but let it go and move forward with much lighter and baggage and nimble foot so that you can move on. Create your own adventure.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that I appreciate doing with my clients, one of the experientials that we do is utilizing a train station. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure, but in therapy experientials. So as they get to the different train stations, they can see their future in one way or another and opt which way the tracks go next. And just like we were talking about with the choose your own adventure, they're not as invested because, it hasn't been time spent, has been money spent, except in the 90 minutes they've spent together, and suddenly they've got this plethora of opportunities and go, you know what, this one feels really right. These two, I'm happy that I haven't chosen. So, there are so many ways that you can think about and go about choosing your own adventure. And I love that there are these options available. I actually have chills on my arm thinking about all these options that we have. I don't know about you, but years ago I didn't realize how many options I had.
Yeah, it's like having an endless supply of peanut butter and jam or peanut butter and honey. It's like one day you can have peanut butter and jam, the next day you can have peanut butter and honey. It's just your choice of whatever it is. Or you can eat all peanut butter and jam. Just life is a buffet. Choose what serves you.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah.
And I find that at times I know I get hung up on what I did yesterday. And what I did yesterday means that I need to do this again or repeat this because it worked yesterday. So I get into the comfort zone of only eating peanut butter and jam when there's the honey bottle or the honey pot right next to it. And I'm going, but I've had peanut butter and jam and it's been really good so many days in a row. Do I risk it? And part of me goes, well, no, I'll just have it. But the good part needs to go, take a chance, try something new. And yeah, I'm using silly analogies of peanut butter and jam and peanut butter and honey, but it's just a metaphor that for life that we can get hung up in. Simple decisions become too routine.
Yeah, I think we've sort of spoken about that off and on over the years. Yeah, whether it be on screen or off screen. Neil and I have got this beautiful relationship, and I love that I can sort of message him my 2 a.m. and go, "Hey Neil, this is what's going on," and he'll respond to me in the most beautiful ways, and I absolutely love that. And I really appreciate you, my friend. And I think having that opportunity to access different people's thoughts, opinions, to share love and kindness is something that's putting tears in my eyes right now because it means so much. And if you've experienced that too, I'm so grateful for you. It's a beautiful thing to share. Yeah. We've had a lot of people share this year. It's been great. Yeah.
We had a guest, and he's been on twice, Alessandro, who an Italian boy ends up in Moscow and unable to speak the language to learn this, go to the circus, and he's learning juggling, and he just lives. To some people, it would be reckless and inconceivable, but he just truly lives from the heart and open to possibilities. Like how many people just go on a train to Moscow and trust that you would find addresses when there's no addresses published or posted. It's only through the friends network that you can find out where these things are. So he's just heart personified. Just trust that the universe will provide.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that attitude about him. He's got a beautiful sense of self, and his humor comes across in more ways than one. I think, there's, without humor, I think life would be very dull and very boring. And, humor for me has enabled gratitude to come through. And I think that, we sort of touched on that a bit with Alessandra, but I'm sure that you've experienced that too, Neil.
Absolutely. Like, I suppose I think as we all evolve, we all come to the point of where we learn to laugh with ourselves and at ourselves. And it's when we've been able to do both, and even in the same instant, in the same second, that's when we truly, I believe, our understanding, our truest self is, we can do some really crazy, ridiculous things and we can be vested in it. And then it's just like, okay, what it is.
Yeah, I think some sort of emotional intelligence sort of comes into play there, doesn't it? If without that emotional intelligence, we don't really experience the experience. It's like when you have knowledge about something, but you don't implement it. When you really experience that experience, it sinks down that little bit more. And again, tugs at those heartstrings and really helps you go from being the puppet to the puppeteer in your life. And it's so important. My personal opinion. I don't know about you. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I agree. You can tell a child, a friend, don't do that, you will get hurt. And it's not till a child, your friend, or someone gets hurt that they realize that, oh, there is truth to this. And hopefully your friends and children and family members learn quickly, as opposed to having to repeat the same lessons over and over and over again. Because experience, I don't know what it is in human nature that we sometimes have to learn the lesson ourselves as opposed to just trusting.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, as a mum, there are times when I want to step in and say, "Don't do that," and there are times when I have to sit back and watch that thing that I know is going to happen, just so that she experiences that experience, because we can only experience what we experience. And that's when I found we learn the best lessons. I'm not going to pick on her and say some things that I could, but I'm sure that you can relate. Whether you've got a small human in your life as their child or grandchild or neighbor or whoever it is, we can talk to kids in one way or another, and we can talk to adults in one way or another, and whether we all have to have our experience.
Absolutely. Like, I'm surprised my parents didn't have heart attacks when I was growing up, because I was an accident waiting to happen. I'm like, oh, what's like that?
My mum tells a fun story that I didn't have band-aids on my knees. I was always getting into all sorts of mischief. And sure enough, when she came up to visit us recently, she noticed the same about my daughter. And at the time, I had band-aids on my knees. So I was still living up to myself. And I think, being myself and being authentically me, that's something that I've not always been comfortable doing. This year, especially, the last few years, being authentically me, it's been amazing. Not having to mask up constantly because I felt pressures of society or people that I knew. Just being me has been beautiful, beautiful thing to experience. And I know that sometimes you don't know how to be me. There's,
Yeah.
and that's okay. And that's okay. Just give it a go. You can't not get it wrong when you give things a go. When I've personally found the only way we get it wrong is by stagnating and stalling and not doing anything about it.
Absolutely. I have a bias, but one of a very authentic person that we had on was Scott Schilling, and I was really impressed. Like when in Scott Schilling's email footer, he asks you, "How may I be of service to you?" And
Yeah.
he truly means it. His one of his favorite roles is connecting people. He loves to connect people, and I don't know. I think I've known Scott somewhere around 10 years, and in all of those years, he's always trying to connect. And Scott has been on international stages. He's a heart-based seller of so he's if you have attended some of these big programs like who did he Jack Canfield. If Jack Canfield's doing a program, Jack Canfield is only on his stage for a certain amount of time, and then he brings in other speakers to talk and share. Well, Scott is one of those speakers, and he comes in and he teaches people to sell from the stage, and he's selling Jack Canfield's own program. And Scott is so heartfelt that he actually, to my understanding, he actually outsold Jack Canfield on Jack Canfield's own stage because he was so heart-based.
Oh, I love that. I think, one thing that I liked about Scott was his quiet confidence. That there wasn't a bravado about him. He just had this beautiful sense of self, came across in this strong, loving way, and gee, he had a lot to share. I really appreciated him, and I've since seen some of his lives, and he's got a lot to share. So go and check out Scott Schilling if you've got a chance.
Yeah.
I think
so
we had we had amazing people. A lot of people sell for their living. One of those people was Kat Rich, who came on and spoke about lead generation. It was an interesting conversation, interesting human indeed, and I love that she does things to help other people, whether that be creating funnels or having real conversations, and she always brings a smile to my face, Kat. I appreciate her. How did you find that conversation with Kat?
I love because she was heart-based, that she had this epiphany that she was living, I don't know whether it was abroad, but she was not living anywhere her family was living, and she realized that family and her connection with her sister was important. So she said, and I don't know where her relationship status was, but she chose to move back closer to family so that she could rekindle and rebond with that, because family was important. And then she chose to set up her business. So it was, once again, true heart based. And like, I don't know many people that would willingly move towards family. Like, some people do it, but not everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Some people move away from family. Kat moves towards them. It goes to show you the quality of people in your life. And if you really love someone, you would literally move across the world to be with them.
And and it comes across in her business ethic, and that she's here to love and support and uplift her clients that she's trying to share. She works in real estate, and she's helping real estate agents get better lead generation and be better at their job and teach them how to connect from their heart. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I like the way that she communicates with those people. I'm actually in one of her groups, and I love how she's so giving, and also she has boundaries as well, which is something that not everybody has. Boundaries are something that can be pretty wavy for some and not so for others. I think one person who we chatted about, or hope we spoke about online and it wasn't in the green room, was Michelle Saluja. We were talking about boundaries and about, she was a psychologist before as a therapist. There are so many laws and things that we need to work with. As a coach, there's different sort of avenues that we take, and Michelle's heart-centered business coaching is, again, it's a beautiful thing, and boundaries come into place. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't want people calling me at 3 a.m. And Michelle was like, no, we do not do that. That's a clear boundary violation. So having these boundaries, it's a good thing. Neil, have you ever had any problems maybe with your own personal boundaries?
I'm going to say it may have, but they're quickly brought, like, okay, fine, you called me, fine, you've done this, but we're not going to do this again. So we're going to deal with it and move across. Because I also have my personal boundaries. If you have my personal cell phone number, you have my number, and you're in a 911, I'm there. I will get up and I will drive wherever if you are in crisis for my personal. So you have to have my personal phone number. So my personal boundaries are different than my business boundaries. So if you have my personal cell phone number, then it's different, because I want to be that person that it's truly an emergency, and as we set it up, it's a 911. You're on the verge of doing something stupid and irreversible, so just call me.
Yeah. I think that's so important to know, that there are people out there who are going to be there for you 24/7. Having those people in our lives is so important. And as Neil said, boundaries, whether it be personal or business, for our friends, we would get up. I would rather get up at whatever time and be there for you than be your pallbearer, or be at your funeral. It's a heartbreaking thing to talk about, but I know that some conversations are really hard to have, and at times we can and do feel alone. So especially coming up into the Christmas seasons, where so many people do feel that aloneness, knowing that there are a lot of people out there, whether you know them personally or there are those 24-hour lines that you can contact, so that you get through this period and get some help and support that you deserve. You're worth it.
Yeah. And I personally have had where I have given someone heck. No, I tore a strip off them because they should have phoned me. I would have liked them to have phoned me. I found out, they phoned. They got professional help, but they didn't tell anyone because they were embarrassed and whatever. But they did get help. So I was proud of them for reaching out for professional help. But because that's where I would have steered them, and I would have gone with them to get professional help. Because sometimes walking the path alone is terrifying. And just having someone to walk with you. And I personally am like, if I'm claiming to be heart-based, I need to be that person. Don't ever abuse it, because you will quickly be blocked from my phone if you ever abuse it, because you've crossed the boundaries in friendship, and that's not right.
I just want to rewind that conversation ever so slightly, Neil, because I heard you use the word need. And I don't think you choose to, like, this isn't a need, it's just you being you. And that I just want to clarify that, you need to do something. It's a choice. It's not a need, right? Because I feel like it's an important sort of conversation. Yeah. And I think, having, we've all got we've all been affected by adversity in one way or another. In fact, that's how this show started, was through adversity and trying to help the collective to come on board and, bring people together again. And I absolutely admire and appreciate you for that. And I know that you've gone out and been part of multiple men's groups and multiple ways of helping to facilitate people to be okay within themselves. And I just think that's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I hope and trust that the people that we're attracting on this show are the kind of people that if their friends phoned in the midst of an important sporting event or in the midst of whatever, you would answer it and help for their cry for help.
Yeah,
Even if
absolutely.
it's just, and sometimes a cry for help can only be just a hello. Sometimes that's all that it takes is for someone to know that you picked up the call and it didn't go to voicemail. That can be as simple as you just saved somebody's life just by saying hello.
Absolutely agree. And then there's also the cry for help with business too, where we might have paid for a coaching course, or we've seen and heard other people do things that just doesn't align with us, and we're like, you keep going down this path thinking, well, it's working for other people, it should work for me, but it's not until you talk to somebody else about it and you realize, oh, actually, there's another avenue. You can flip open that Choose Your Own Adventure book and go, oh, actually, this is the thing. This is what I was missing. I didn't quite understand that before, and having that sense of self back again, realizing that, hey, this is me and it's okay to be me and it's okay to have fumbled and to try to use someone else's methods. Great, it worked for them. It doesn't have to work for you, and that's okay. I think one of the people that, we had fun with this year as we were talking about business archetypes, DG Ames, the way that she spoke about the archetypes is something that I learned in school and something that I've spoken to multiple of my clients about, and having the opportunity to go, oh, there's actually a pattern to this, who I am, what I could do, who I can follow, how I can help. When we can go meta and we can recognize those patterns, it's a beautiful thing. Suddenly, the blinkers come off, we can see clearer. It's like when you go to the swimming pool and you're not wearing goggles and you come out all blurry and red-eyed, from the chlorine, and suddenly you can see again. It's magic.
Absolutely. And if you're talking about coaching or therapist or whoever, you look at your collective friends. We will all, I suspect we all have those that are more, let's go do this right here and have the schedules and okay, at 8:15 we're going to do this, 8:17 we're going to do this, and then we will have the friends that it was like, yeah, okay, let's get together tomorrow. And at 9:00 they phone you, hey, I'm just having tea, what would you like to do today? It's like we all have that varied, or I believe we have this varied amount of people, and coaching and people that are in our lives to help us, to teach us and grow, need to come from various aspects, because sometimes we need someone just to sit and have tea with us, and sometimes I believe we need someone to go, okay, it's 8:15, let's get on this and go.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, it's a beautiful synergy if you're one or the other to work with somebody else. I know one of our friends pushed me to work with somebody who was very salesy and very, do this, but I'm not very like that kind of salesy, nor am I. I really appreciated my buttons being pushed to learn from Grant Cardone, who was recommended, just to go, oh, okay, this is actually what irritates me about this. Or this is, I can use this. So, there's so many different ways we can go. I am a fly by the seat of my pants kind of human. I will know there are certain things that need to happen in my day. I've got so many journals that I haven't used over the years, so many that I have. And I think that's okay. Knowing who you are, it's okay to be unique and different. It's okay to ask for help from multiple sources and to get multiple sources from within too. Boundaries is a good, clear sense of, oh no, that does not feel right. That an emotion or something that comes up, listen to it, like go with it. And one of the people that I thought was good with doing that was Linda Alexander, and she spoke about how time as a mother and mindset, and this, again, it was about beautiful emotional intelligence that she brought to the show that day. And And I really appreciated that. Indira was another one.
Indira. Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could. Yeah. I'm sorry, Indira, I'm going to pronounce your surname wrong, but Indira Hentuk. I'm sorry, I love you. go and check out this her on replay. She has a lot to share, and what I love about her, which we didn't really get into so much on the show, was the level of scientific backing that she's got for her skills that she shares. You know, what she has now turned into something that is like a method, like her method, and it's recognized as her method because of all of the other avenues of study that she's done from all the other research that she's put together in her life and in her mind. And now she shares that beautiful gift with other people. It's gold. I love that. I think, you know, the quality of people that we've had this year is absolutely sublime. Yeah.
And with some focus, I love that we had Carlos Villarreal, and because he is Carlos is heart-based completely, but very left brain. It's just like this is a structure, you put in systems, you do this and this and this, and but yet completely just wide open, the heart-based man. Very, and just a matter of fact, this is what you do, and this is you have to do it from a place, you don't have to, but you do it from a place of love and compassion. You know what it is that you want, you're worthy of all your dreams. And I just looked up at the clock and I'm going, how the heck have we been at this for 55 minutes, Sarah?
Oh, isn't it amazing? We did start talking about time and how it affects us differently. And I think when you're talking about subjects that you love and the people that you hold dear, time can and does go quickly through our fingertips. But before we do end the show, I just want to also come back to one of the guests that we have not mentioned as yet. At the time, we had Charlie Ross coming on, and she was on the same show as Alessandra Gravello, and we were talking about she was a breast center coach. Now she helps women over 40 with tech. And I just wanted to show that it's okay to change niches. It's okay to change your direction and do something that serves others, And yes, there are stepping stones to get to different places. And enjoy each step. Enjoy being in the now. And Neil, what about you? For the time is of an essence, but how should we close the show today? For the year? Oh my gosh.
I want to go back to Charlie Ross because she's doing tech, but this was the very first podcast, any kind of interview show she had ever done, period. And she just knocked it out of the park. And if you follow Charlie, she over delivers. Like she's helping women with technology, and she just over delivers time and time and time again. It's just phenomenal. But then that can be said, we could put every one of those and pull them out that they all over deliver. They're all heart-based, and they truly love and want to share their gifts and talents. And to me, that's the meaning right in the show, is the meaning of Christmas, where people are willingly giving their times, gift, talents, and treasures to you, our listeners, our viewers, whether you're listening to this in live or in replay. They're all willing to give, and whoever shows up next year will be the same, because Sarah and I are attracting heart-based people that want to give everything that they have for you, the viewer and listeners, from this place of love and connection. And from my house to your house, I wish you, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, or whatever it is that you're choosing to do this holiday and break that's coming up in a couple weeks, to know that you are loved, to know that you are worthy of all your dreams, hopes, and aspirations, and follow your passions, follow your heart. And with that, I just want to say, because I celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you, Sarah.
Wow, well, I trust that your Christmas and New Year's is going to be amazing. I look forward to seeing your snowy pictures. You won't be seeing any snow my end. It'll be hot and sandy coming from this part of Australia, or this part of the hemisphere. And yeah, we do celebrate Christmas in this house. And Maya is extremely excited to see Santa. And if your child is too, enjoy the experience and enjoy everything that's coming your way. In Australia, we've got school holidays coming up. We're going camping. We're having fun. We're going to be living in the now. And I trust that you enjoy living in the now too, and just experience what you're experiencing. That's so important, not to skip by those little moments or hide behind a camera and watch it but not be there. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
So that's my gift for you, is to maybe if you're filming, put the camera down where you can see it in the future, but actually be present and watch your kids' dancing show or whatever it is. Be there. So from us to you, no, we appreciate you. We love you so much. If you would love to come and join our podcast next year, you know who to reach out to. There's two pretty amazing humans on the screen. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love it if you signed up and be subscribed to our YouTube channel too. But from us to you till next year, big love. See you soon. Take care.